All right, The Batman. This is a movie that when it was first announced, I did not really want it at all because after having three movies in the 90s of Batman coming off the Christopher Nolan trilogy, which were great movies, and then Ben Affleck as Batman, I just kind of wanted the Batman character itself to take a little bit of a rest. But then the first teaser trailer came out for this movie, and I just couldn't resist. I was like, okay, you know, I'm all in on this movie, especially with Matt Reeves directing and everything. And then with each trailer that came out, each TV spot, I just got more and more excited until finally today, going to a theater and watching the movie, and I had a great time with this movie. Let's talk about it. Now, one of the big things that kind of came out of this movie being made was when Robert Pattinson was first cast as Batman. A lot of people were crapping on him. I mean, the same thing happened when Ben Affleck was casted as Batman, or when Keith Ledger was casted as a Joker. People always, whenever there's like a huge character out there, whether it be comic book or any character in like a famous book or video game or anything. I mean, Tom Holland just went through this with Uncharted. The internet can go crazy sometimes. Robert Pattinson absolutely nailed it in this movie, though. He is a fantastic Batman. Right now, personally, my favorite on-screen Batman that we've ever had is Christian Bale. And so, I mean, if Christian Bale's like right here for me, I'd say Robert Pattinson's like right here. All right, and that's like a pretty big deal because Christian Bale had three movies to get right here. And, you know, after one movie, Robert Pattinson is like right here. It's a much different movie. I'm not even going to really compare it to any of the. I'm not going to compare it to Ben Affleck. I'm not going to compare it to the Dark Knight trilogy or anything because this is a Batman movie. Which, and I mean, if you've seen the trailers, you already know it. It's different. It's dark and it's very much got a like if you've seen the movie Seven, it's got very much like a Seven vibe. And this is a Batman movie where we finally get to see Batman being a detective, and Robert Pattinson was great as that. And kind of piggybacking off of the whole Robert Pattinson talk, the entire rest of the cast of this movie is absolutely amazing as well. Zoe Kravitz really nailed it as Catwoman. I think I would probably give the edge to her over everybody else that we've ever seen play Catwoman. She was absolutely fantastic. Jeffrey Wright was great as Gordon. Obviously, you have Andy Serkis playing Alfred, who also did an amazing job, and Matt Reeves coming off of the good Planet of the Apes trilogy he did, where he did Dawn and War of the Planet of the Apes. He continues to just be an absolutely fantastic director going into this movie, and he also co-wrote it as well. This it's hard because I don't want to set this movie up. I don't want to hype it almost too much because I don't want to, if anybody's watching this and they really want to kind of get the feeling like what are you going to expect from this movie, I don't want to hype it too much to the point where you're going to be disappointed. But this was just such a refreshing take. We have so many superhero movies these days, and believe me, I like the Marvel movies and I like some of the DC movies as well. But we have so many superhero movies these days where they almost feel like manufactured to the point where they're just like coming off of like a factory line, you know, like yeah, there's a different story in each of them, but they're basically the same at the end of the day. And watching this movie, it kind of it felt so awesome because it was like a superhero movie that's finally different. It's different. It's not like something that was just made by a committee. It felt like actual filmmakers sat down and really crafted this movie, and the actors all came in and they gave it their all, and the movie itself just became, in my opinion, a masterpiece. I think this is probably, even though Christian Bale is still my favorite Batman by a little bit, I think this Batman movie is easily the best Batman movie we've ever had as far as live action goes. And listen, that's saying a lot. I mean, I've seen all the Batman stuff. I'm a huge Batman fan, and this is the best. And with all that talk about how great Robert Pattinson is and how great Matt Reeves' direction is, we got to talk about the villains in this movie. Colin Farrell killed it as a Penguin. I mean, he's basically unrecognizable. And the person that stole the show was Paul Dano as the Riddler. Listen, I'm a big Paul Dano fan. I like the movies he's been in. I know a lot of people, when they go and see this movie, they might not have any idea who he is, or maybe they've only seen him in movies like Little Miss Sunshine or There Will Be Blood. I was excited when he was casted as Riddler because I do find him a really good actor, and he killed it in this role. It is amazing. And the other thing we have to talk about, which is basically almost a character in itself, is the music in this movie. The music in this movie rivals music we've seen in a lot of other Batman movies. I mean, the Batman theme that you hear over and over again in the trailer, the dun, 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 it's played so much in this movie, but it never gets tiring. Even after seeing the trailers multiple times in the theaters, every time that song comes up, it's just, and Robert Pattinson like walks out of the shadows and it's just blaring in the theater. You're just like, oh my god, this is so badass. And that's, you know, that's the other cool thing about this movie is not only is it just great filmmaking wise, it's just badass. Like, Batman is badass in this movie, and that is something where, I mean, he's always been badass. I mean, Ben Affleck was badass, Christian Bale was badass, yes, but in this movie he's just being a detective in itself badass move. And then the way he fights and everything, this movie is an absolute thrill. And the only negative I can say about this movie is the running time. The running time, I think they probably could have shaved a good 15 minutes off. But at the same time, it's one of those things where I feel like everything that's in the movie kind of also needs to be in the movie. So maybe there's just ways they could have maybe condensed some of the stuff in a way, making scenes shorter. Because really what happens is the pacing can sometimes, it gets really, really going, especially the first hour. It's really, really good. And it kind of drags a little bit in the middle. I know a lot of long movies that kind of drag a little bit in the middle, but it got to the point where it was just maybe dragging a teeny bit too much. And I would have liked that to maybe have been fixed. But other than that, the little bit of a pacing issue, the movie itself is really flawless, and I really do think this is a masterpiece. This is the first movie I've reviewed on my channel that I think I've had such high regards for. The very first review I ever did on my channel was of A Quiet Place Part 2, and I thought really highly of that movie. But listen, The Batman is, I really do want to say, a masterpiece, because it's just amazing. And if you're not a Batman fan, and you're wondering if you're going to like this movie, I'd say yes, especially if you're a fan of like thriller movies, crime movies, stuff that kind of makes you guess and maybe some twists and turns thrown in there. This is a movie for you. And that's the other cool thing about this movie is you do not have to be a fan of the Batman. You don't have to know much about the Batman going into this movie. Yes, it will help you, especially if you read some of the comics or you know some of his backstory. It will almost help you when they say names of other characters, be like, oh, I know who that is. But you don't need to. And that's what's great about this movie is it throws you in right from the get-go. The movie gets going, and when it's over, you're just left there with a smile on your face. If you're one of those people that clap, you'll end up clapping. I definitely recommend seeing this movie, though. This movie was an absolute blast. I really hope they make another one. Robert Pattinson, definitely, like I said, Christian Bale here. Robert Pattinson's like right here for me. So, and after just one movie, that's how Robert Pattinson is. So I'm really looking forward to anything Matt Reeves does next. I'm a huge Matt Reeves fan, whether that be the next Batman movie or any other movie he does. But listen to me when I tell you this. When it comes to The Batman, go and see it this weekend. Go and see it whenever you have time. I'm going to go see it probably a second time, probably even a third time because I liked it that much. I promise you will not be disappointed.